The most wonderful time in football has arrived. Yeah, yeah. Cole Sports presents on the daily. Well, I hope your Christmas holiday did you well. I hope you got all that you asked for and desired. As you see right before you is Cole Johnson, the arbiter of Cole Sports, presenting on the daily. And we come at you Monday through Friday. And subscribe if you want to be ahead of the game in all things sports, whether at your home, your workplace, your church, or wherever you congregate with others. Now, as I said, this is Monday, and you know how we get down on Monday, and we're going to do it a little differently. However, we're still going to go with the same format as we always do every Monday. Welcome back to The List. And how we're going to get down today is very, very simple and basic. Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year. No, I'm not going to go into the jingle. But in terms of a football fan, it is the most wonderful time of the year because we're now at week 17 of the NFL season. And we now have a decent understanding as to who is going to go where and who needs to do something to get in. And we're going to do the list a little differently because we're going to go through the different teams that are still alive for a playoff spot and or those who have clinched and they probably either need a little help to get further up or they need to win to get further up in the rankings. So we'll start in the AFC with the big dog, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They really don't need to do anything. In fact, the next time they have to pack to go anywhere else besides Kansas City for a football game would be if it's in the Super Bowl, if they go that long, or if they get eliminated before they get there. The next time they have to pack to go somewhere else would be training camp or OTAs, and that isn't until May or June. So for as long as they go, Kansas City and Arrowhead Stadium is the exact place where if the Chiefs play in 2020, that's where they will play. So that basically says the AFC and the road to go to the Super Bowl in that conference goes through KC. It should. They're 14-1. They had an unimpressive 17-14 victory over the Falcons, but only one loss. That does things wonders. And I mean, you have Mahomes who leads in passing. You have Kelsey who leads in receptions. You have Hill who is second in touchdown receptions. The team is just going well. And yeah, now I will say that I think one of the things that bothers me about them, the pass rush is up and down and their run defense is up and down. And if they can solve that issue, those issues, I think they'll be better off as a whole team and they'll be tough to stop. Because I really believe their Achilles heel happens to be their secondary. Yes, I know. Tyrann Mathieu is one of the leaders in interceptions. I know. But give me what is happening with the rest of the secondary. I digress. So right now, currently, the number 2 seed is the Steelers. They stand at 12-3 after their miraculous come from behind 24-7 deficit to a 28-24 victory over the aspiring playoff team Indianapolis Colts. They clinched the AFC North. Now they're looking to clinch the number 2 seed. And yes, we are now in an era where we can't have a second bye in a conference. There's only one bye per conference. And if you're the number 2 seed, you play now in the wild card round, in the wild card weekend. However, if you are the number 2 seed, You do get a wild card round home game, but you also get a divisional round home game too. So that is what they and the Bills, who they play tonight, they stand at 11-3, are fighting for. Now, I'll make this real simple and basic. If the Steelers and Bills, if they end up either 13-3 or 12-4, the Bills will be the number 2 seed simply because they hold the tiebreaker over the Steelers because the two teams played Sunday night way back early in December, and the Bills put the second loss on the Steelers. So the Bills hold the tiebreaker advantage over the Steelers because of that game in Orchard Park. So basically, if either the Bills win out or if they win one of their last two and the Steelers lose against the Browns this coming Sunday, then the number 2 seed is theirs. If if the Steelers have a better record than the Bills, you already know who has the 2 seed and who will have the 3. Now, holding out for hope would be the Tennessee Titans. They currently hold the number 4 slot. If they win and the Bills lose out, the Titans can get to the number 3 seed because they own the head-to-head tiebreaker advantage over the Bills. However, more than likely that won't happen. Not saying that the Titans won't win. I think they will. They go to Houston. That's where they end their 2020 campaign in the regular season. I think they will be the AFC South champs. I do not see them losing to the Texans. Yes, that is my team that I root for in the NFL. They're 4-11. The only two guys they really have on the team is J.J. Watt on one side and Deshaun Watson on the other. There you go. Right now, currently in the number 5 position is the Dolphins. They also stand at 10-5. And a win, and they are in. And more than likely, if they win, they will lock down the number 5 position. More than likely. Oh, but they have to travel to Buffalo in order to do it. So if they do lose, they probably need a little bit of help. As in, they probably need a Ravens loss. They play the Bengals. Or they need a Browns loss. They do play the Steelers. Or they need a Colts loss. The Colts at home against the Jaguars. Now, you pretty much know who the Dolphins are going to be rooting for. They're going to be rooting hardest for the Steelers should they lose to the Bills. But right now, they currently hold the number 5 slot in the AFC. The number 6 seeded team currently is the Ravens, and they are also 10-5. They win, and they're in. Just like if the Dolphins win, they're in. But if they should not beat the Bengals and they have to go to go to Cincy to do it, they would have to hope for the Browns to lose or the Colts to lose. If either one does, the Ravens are in. Again, they'll be a big-time Steelers fan if the Ravens lose. More than likely, they won't. In Cincy, the Ravens are renting space in Cincy's head. I just don't see it. Currently in the number 7 seeded slot would be the Cleveland Browns. They fell to 10-5. Disappointing loss to the Jets. Of course, having their whole wide receiver core out due to COVID-19 protocol. They hold the tiebreakers against the Colts and the Titans. So if whoever does not win the AFC South, the Browns hold a tiebreaker against both those teams. Of course, if the Browns win, they're in. They're home, but they're home to the divisional champs Steelers, who are fighting for the number 2 seed in the AFC. So it's quite possible. We might see these two teams face off again the very next week. Only the next week it will be in Pittsburgh. It's quite possible. A little highly unlikely, but it's quite possible. But if they should lose, they'll clinch if, let's see, how can I do this? They'll clinch if the Titans lose, and the Ravens lose, they'll clinch if the Titans lose, and the Ravens, Colts, and Dolphins all win. It gets a little convoluted. And if you think that is convoluted, listen to how the Colts playoff chances are. They also are 10-5 at the moment. They fell to 10-5, losing a 24-7 lead in Pittsburgh to the Steelers, and they simply did not score but a field goal, I believe, in the second half, en route to their 28-24 loss. So now they had a chance to, if they won that game, be in the driver's seat for the AFC South crown. But here's the skinny. They win, they aren't guaranteed to be in. But if they win and the Titans lose, the Titans will not be the AFC South champs. The Colts would be. But if the Colts win, and they get a loss from either the Titans, the Ravens, the Browns, or the Dolphins, then they are in. But that is hoping that the Titans lose to the Texans, the Ravens lose to the Bengals, the Browns lose to the Steelers, or the Dolphins lose to the Bills. Now, the Browns, they will probably, think Colts fan will probably become Steelers and Bills fans and hope that one of those teams upends the Browns or the Dolphins because they stand the better chance of that happening. But they have to take care of business first at home against the Jags. Now, if they get the real big gift of the Texans upsetting the Titans, then that win will be coupled with an AFC South crown. That is the AFC picture. Now, the NFC picture, the top dog fight is interesting. Right now, Green Bay stands number one at 12-3, and it's real simple. They have the NFC North crown cinched. They have to win against the Bears in Chicago. They will have the number one seed if they do that. And the road to the NFC will go through Lambeau Field. Right now, the number 2 seed is the Saints. Now, they have the NFC South crown cinched and clinched. What they have to do is win. And more than likely, if they win, they have the number 2 seed sewn. More than likely. But they're hoping for the number 1 seed. The Seahawks, they have the number 3 seed. And they have the NFC West crown snatched. They have possession of it. So that's all settled. Here's the scenario. The Packers win. Number 1 seed is the Packers. If the Seahawks win and both the Saints and the Packers lose, then the Seahawks are the number 1 seed. And in that scenario, the Packers will be number 2 seed. The Saints will be number 3 seed. If all of these teams end up tied at 12-4, which would mean the Seahawks win, the Saints win, and the Packers lose, then that means the Saints will be the number 1 seed. The Seahawks will be the number 2 seed because they actually hold a conference record advantage over the Packers, and the Packers will be number 3 seed. So the Saints had to actually hope for a Seahawks win if the Packers lose to the Bears. The Saints will be in Charlotte against the Panthers. The Seahawks will be they would be in Santa Clara, but they're going to be in the desert in Glendale, Arizona to play the 49ers because, they're not hosting any games of that type of venue in the Bay Area. And it's strange that as a team that's real close to you and you're rooting for them to win, it's an odd thing. But that is what the Saints have to do. They have to hope for a logjam up top the NFC for them to claim the number 1 seed and have the road to the NFC go through the Superdome. They better hope the Packers lose to the Bears because if not, I'm getting chilly just by thinking where that would be. Now, the number 4 seed in the NFC, I know you're probably side-eyeing me about this, the Washington football team. Why? Because they're 6-9. But here's what it goes down to and boils down to. Game number 256 will involve this squad. And here's how it's going to go. The winner of the Giants and Cowboys game, which will be played early Sunday, the 1:00 kickoff, they will be on pins and needles rooting for the Eagles because the Eagles will be playing the Washington football team. At least they'll be playing them in the Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. And if Washington wins, of course, they end up being the NFC East champs. If they lose, whoever won the Cowboys-Giants game in the Meadowlands, they will be the NFC East champs, and they will host next week's game, more than likely against the number 5 seeded Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I say more than likely because they're currently 10-5. They win next week at home against the Falcons. That is sewn. They'll be 11-5, and there isn't another team outside of the 3 above them, and we're not including anybody in the NFC East. But outside of the 3 in front of them, there's another team that will get to 11 wins. However, if by so chance that the Falcons actually go to Raymond James Stadium and beat the Bucs, and the Rams, who are underneath them, win at home against the Cardinals, then that means the Rams would leapfrog the Buccaneers. They'll be the number 5 seed, and they'll be in the playoffs. Oh, speaking of the Rams. So currently they hold the number 6 seed, and they would have clinched something. They would have clinched a playoff berth if they beat the Seahawks, but they just simply did not have it in the tank. But they win, they're in. They're at home against the Cardinals, which is no easy feat, although when they went to the desert, they did beat the Cardinals. But seeing how the Rams have played the last 2 weeks, home loss to the Jets, road loss to the Seahawks, it's not going to be a slam dunk for them. But if they win, they're in. The Bucs are already in. Now they're trying to sew a number 5 seed down. And if they win, that's what they'll be. If they lose, they risk being number 6. Currently, the number 7 seed will be the Bears. Currently. They win, they're in. They're at home Sunday, but they play the NFC North champion Packers, and they have something to play for. They're playing for home field. So you have that. And here's how it would lay out. So the Bears win, they're in. And more than likely, they would be the 7th seed if they win. More than likely. They could be the number 6 seed. Could be. But more than likely, it won't be. Should the Rams lose to the Cardinals? Oh, and I'm sorry. Let me get to the other team remaining. And that would be the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they had a chance to solidify, I won't say be in the playoffs, but they had a chance to solidify a playoff position or be a stronger candidate to get in this Sunday. If they won against the 49ers this past weekend, they laid an egg at home. So now they got to go to LA to take care of business. So now if they beat the Rams, they're in. But they have to beat the Rams to do that. And the reason why that could happen is they'll be 9-7. The Rams will have a worse division record because they split the season series. They have a worse division record than the Cardinals. So the Cardinals will advance over the Rams. And then the Bears, if they win, will knock the Rams completely out the playoffs. And then the Bears will be the number 6 seed. The Cardinals will be number 7 seed. If the Rams beat the Cardinals, they'll at worst be the 6th seed. But if all 3 teams tie at 9-7, the Rams will be the odd team out. Because the Bears will be over the Cardinals will be over the Rams, and the Rams will be saying see ya after having a 9-4 record. leading the division before throwing it all away with losses to the Jets, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals the last 3 weeks. So there you have it. That is the playoff scenario for the NFL in 2020. Week 17 is going to be a good season and good week, and the season has been good. And that has been a comprehensive NFL playoff to be edition of The List. Now, if you want this shirt that you see right before your very eyes, the description box below will have all the details as to how to get it and the many ways and styles of which you can get it. And if you have a question as to who is going to go where or what seed is going to be where, or if you probably think that I missed a step, and hopefully I didn't, and you probably say, well, Cole, this team should be here, this team should be here. Well, this scenario doesn't work for this team or that team, or I look forward to Sunday. In either case, VIP, like this video and share it throughout the social media. Comment below because I love to hear what you have to say, VIP. Your comments mean a lot to me. Don't forget, hit that notification bell and subscribe to this channel for any and all content that emanates from here. That's all the time I have, and I look forward to the 2020 playoff season in the NFL. I know you are too, VIP. That is why I did this video. I did it for you. This has been yet another installment of Cole Sports on the visual and on the daily.